So I've known for a while that I wanted to make some more videos around AmiSide, which if you don't know is my original Warrior Cat inspired series, and obviously I've done a few PMVs recently, but I wanted to try and revive the series I used to do back last year. I'm very rusty doing voiceovers and I am loosely following a script because I really don't know what I'm meant to say half of the time in these kind of videos. But I know that reading fully from the script just makes me sound more like a robot than I normally do. So I apologise if anything's off or there are weird breaks or sounds or something like that. So in this video, to start off the series again, I thought that I would discuss some of the main supporting characters in AmiSide. These aren't main characters who I've either already done videos on or I will make videos on. These are more secondary characters, so they're friends or characters who have side plots and stuff like that. So, the first of these characters is Dust. She was originally born in Creek Colony to Pigeon and Temper alongside her sisters Osprey and Red. As someone who never really understood her colony mates' love for getting their fur wet, Dust decided to take her life to Thistle Colony in the forest instead. Upon arriving, and after a vote from the cats in Thistle Colony, she was given Cow, the son of the commander, to train and to prove her skill before she could properly join. She trained Cow until he was ready to become a combatant, and he basically turned out perfect as far as most of the cats were concerned, but his father Sedge really wanted Cow to follow in his footsteps, which basically just means being horrible and controlling of people and stuff like that. And because Cow turned out completely opposite, he basically blamed Dust for poisoning his son. Nevertheless, the colony voted and Dust was allowed to stay in Thistle Colony. After proving countless times that she was a good addition to the colony, she was appointed delegate by the previous one before they retired, and Sedge was unhappy with this. Unluckily for him, delegates cannot be chosen by the commander and cannot be demoted without reason, so he had to bite his tongue and allow her to fill the position. Overall, Dust made a good delegate. She was very motherly and fair to the entire colony, and by this time had children of her own, Milk and Acorn, Milk being another cat that I will get to after Dust. As the harshest cold season that the colonies had ever seen hit, and Sedge was killed in an accident involving a deer, Hound took his place as commander and began to push harder against Creek Colony, frequently attacking them once it was discovered that the river that Thistle Colony usually didn't cross had frozen over and given all of the cats easy access to the neighbouring camp. Of course, Dust did not like this at all, as her family was back in Creek Colony, and one day when on a walk her sister Red found her in the forest, and after some convincing, Dust agreed to meet Red at the same spot and give her a little extra prey to help the colony along in the harsh time, as well as promising to try and stop the attacks on Creek Colony as much as she could. Eventually though, Hound found out, and used this quote-unquote betrayal as an excuse to demote Dust and replace her as delegate with a younger Molly, someone who had recently lost her parents in a harsh battle with Creek Colony, and a cat that was very easily manipulated by Hound, which in her eyes made her a perfect fit. Dust couldn't really do much to argue, especially as no other cats would dare to oppose Hound, and she had to step down. She continues to focus on raising her children and maintaining her good relationship with Cow, who by now have become the subordinate of Thistle Colony. Since Dust used to be the delegate, she is very good at sorting things out, and she is the main voice of reason that Cow seeks out when he is overwhelmed or doesn't really know what to do. Okay, the next two cats I'll probably just talk about together, like they're drawn in this photo, because they're not any less important than Dust, but they're kind of less specifically developed out in the story. So the first of these two is Milk, who is the daughter of Dust, who I was just speaking about. They are albino and completely deaf in one ear and almost completely deaf in the other, and also selective mute. He is gender fluid, so I will be switching between she, they, and he, because just those are the pronouns that they use. But she often speaks in sign language, but you can sometimes hear some little sounds that she makes to go along with her actions. Milk is very sweet and kind of airheaded. They trained with the slightly older trainee Tansy, and the two remained close and helped each other in exploring their identities and just where they fit into the colony. Currently, the two are mates and are planning on one day having kids. Milk is one of Cow's closest supporters and understands his anxieties better than anyone other than maybe Snow, as they used to have a lot of the same issues. He will often go on walks with Cow, just to let him get his mind off his duties, and because Milk is so adamant on not being babied, this helps Cow quite a bit, as he finally doesn't feel like he needs to look after anyone for once when they go on their walks together. The other cat in this photo is Tansy, who is Milk's mate, and is a lot less developed in the group, as they aren't really as much involved in the drama as others. Tansy doesn't really provide as much direct support to Cal, as she's very focused on supporting the colony as a whole over anything else. If anything, Tansy thinks Cal should try and focus on his duties and wait until the situation with Hound sorts itself out. Tansy's trainee is Spider, who is another character who shows up a decent amount in AmiSide, as she has her own side plot, but I won't be going on over her in this video. Spider, being a very anxious young cat, takes a little extra time in training, which has in fact helped Tansy to be more patient with Cal. She loves her mate Milk, but doesn't baby her at all, and if anyone does do this, they're likely to get an earful from Tansy to mind their own business. But like I said, Tansy is in the main friend group, but isn't really as involved as cats like Milk or Dust. These next 3 cats, I don't have really as much to say in detail about them, as they actually were added as a quite recent addition to the main supporting cast as a look into Creek Colony. The cat furthest on the left is Snail, who in fact becomes the healer trainee of Creek Colony, as in the beginning of AmiSide they don't have a healer or a healer trainee. So Snail was a kitten alongside Perch and Trout, who are the other 2 cats in this photo. Snail trained with both Perch and Trout, but had a longing to help his colony, seeing how badly they were doing during the cold season, and especially with how badly Thistle Colony were treating them. So because of this, Snail decided to switch over to becoming a healer trainee and managed to convince his mentor Duck to do the same. While his friend Perch was supportive, to his friend Trout it seemed like she thought it was the end of the world. While Snail understands why she's upset, he thinks she's overreacting, and it's not like he died or anything. Him and his mentor Duck, who became a healer with him, rely heavily on the other colonies to help them learn how to best heal their colony, and to much dismay of the other cats, Thistle Colony is the closest to them, so that's where they get most of their help. Because of this, Snail gets to know Snow and Fever of Thistle Colony very well, and takes a special shining to Fever, who's a trainee just like him, who's just as excited to have a friend his age who's passionate about the same things. His place in the story, as I mentioned, is mainly to give a look into Creek Colony, because I realised that is an area of the story that could probably do with being explored. The cat in the middle of this image is Trout, who is a lot less supportive of Snail than Perch is. She has a crush on Snail, which is definitely unrequited, and once Snail left to become a healer trainee, she became very hateful and felt betrayed by him. Whenever Perch tries to console Trout, they always get in some sort of argument, as Trout has become rather cynical and just wants Snail to come back to the life of a competent trainee. Despite Trout's wishes, Snail is committed to the life of being a healer trainee, and Trout is getting more and more irritated as time goes on, eventually refusing to talk to them in general, as if the silent treatment will change Snail's mind. It doesn't matter if any cat isn't a part of their little friend group, she'll speak aggressively to them and has become impatient with everyone over time. She is very cold and dismissive of basically every single cat she meets, which definitely is not going to rekindle anything with Perch and Snail anytime soon. The rest of her story is quite spoilerish because it obviously relates to Snail and Perch, and both of their stories are quite spoilery, but it does centre quite a lot around Trout, and she's a very interesting character that I'm excited to share more about. I will also mention that this plotline I'm working on with my friend Ak, who you've probably seen in streams and stuff like that. She developed Trout mainly as her character for this side plot, so I just wanted to mention that. The last 2 cats I will keep short because they don't really have a lot of story fully developed that I can share, because their entire story happens during AmiSide, because they are made trainees basically immediately off the bat in the story, so obviously their entire life will be shown during the series, so I can't really spoil anything. But the gist of these 2 characters is the one on the left is Grouse, who becomes Hound's trainee very early on, and the cat on the right is his sister Haze, who obviously, you know, your brother is training under probably the worst cat in all of the territories. He's got a really bad influence on him. You're probably going to be a bit concerned, so she's really not too sure about what her brother's doing, and across the story they, you know, understandably get a little distant, but I can't really say any more than that, so I will just let the art play in the background while I finish up the voiceover portion. So, like I said earlier, I am very rusty with the voiceovers, so I apologise if this was awkward or monotone, which I'm sure it was. I'm going to try and get back into the swing of these videos, but again, I really don't like doing voiceovers, which is why I've been sticking to just art videos where I don't have to speak and can put music in the background. But if anyone has any suggestions for future AmiSide content, please let me know, because I really want to make more videos about these characters and all that kind of stuff. Check my community tab regularly if you want to see polls that I do quite a bit, because that's usually where I will ask for votes around video ideas and stuff like that. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment any questions you may have and stuff like that. I'll try to get to as many as I can, and hopefully I will have a new video out sometime soon, but I can't make any promises. But either way, I'll see you whenever I do manage to make another video.